When thinking about and meditating on this upcoming full moon in Leo, I was given a very specific phrase, and that phrase is Mexican standoff. Now, you may not understand what that means, so let me explain this really quickly. All right. So, the definition of a Mexican standoff, according to Google, it's a tense, deadlocked confrontation among three or more parties, often armed, where no participant can win or escape without severe consequences. So I want you to picture this. Picture an old Western movie. And you know how typically it's two men who challenge each other and they meet at high noon and they both draw their guns and the objective is to shoot one another. Now, from your particular perspective, you want to shoot the other person without being shot yourself. But inherent in a Mexican standoff is this energy of stillness, calculated moves, and perhaps severe consequences for all parties involved. Now, I know that sounds super dramatic, but this wouldn't be a full moon in Leo if there wasn't a little drama. But rest assured, it's not about a literal standoff, although it can feel that way given what's going on at the moment, which I'll get into in a second. But there is this dichotomy, there is this standoff between you and everyone else. And that's exactly the essence of this full moon in Leo. All right, so in this video, I'll be talking all about the energy of this full moon in Leo and what it means for you in a really practical sense. All right, so if you're new around here, if this is your first time encountering me and my content, my name is Mel. I am a professional astrologer and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. Essentially, I help distill astrological information into practical knowledge that you can use in your everyday life. And so in this video, we're talking all about the upcoming full moon in Leo. Now, this full moon is happening on Sunday, February 1st at 5:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's happening at 13 degrees of Leo. That's really the technical aspect of this full moon. But I want to talk about what this full moon feels like because we've started to feel it already. At the time that I'm filming this video, it's Thursday, January 29th. So it's sort of the end of the week. We have a couple of days until this full moon actually hits, right? But here is how this energy has been playing out over this last week. So in the United States, there's a lot of unrest. There's a lot going on in the Midwest. There's a lot of really tough energy to get through. A lot of horrific things have happened this past week, over the last couple of weeks, and it has all of us feeling a type of way. And that's putting it very lightly. And I don't want to gloss over what's happening or how people are feeling. It's tough out here. And the way that this has been playing out, and I've actually been seeing this in real time, is that a lot of people are like, with the world being on fire, is it insensitive for me to still promote my business, to still enjoy things, to still live life, essentially? You know, one of the things I noticed this week is there was an uproar about Beyonce. So apparently she dropped a new product or something like that, or launched a new product. And people were all in arms about how she's tone deaf, she's not reading the room, there's so much going on, and you're pushing your bullshit product and all of those things. And this is really the energy of this full moon in Leo at play. So I want to show you what this looks like astrologically. So on the screen right now, this is a chart of what the astrology looks like with this full moon in Leo. And I want you to notice something that you're probably noticing right off the bat. Leo is sort of in its own little place, kind of by itself, and everything else is in Aquarius. We've got Mars, Pluto, the Sun, Venus, and Mercury in Aquarius. It's a complete planetary pileup. And so it really speaks to the heaviness that we're feeling because most of the planets are concentrated in one particular area. And that area is Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of the collective. And essentially, all of this Aquarius energy is highlighting the fact that there is a shift. I don't even want to call it a shift. There is a change, a transformation that's happening within the collective. And that's very much thanks to Pluto. Pluto is changing how society operates, how society identifies, how society is. And it's not pretty. And this is not to say that whatever is happening is right or wrong. I am not here to pass moral judgment on anything. But I know that so many people are hurting, so many people are angry, so many people are upset, and that is very valid. But society is changing for better or for worse. And within this change, there's political unrest, there's inhumane things happening, there's shock, there's awe, there's fear. It literally feels like the world is on fire. And our attention to the collective is emphasized, particularly with this planetary pileup in Aquarius. You cannot escape what's going on. You can try to, bury your head in the sand. You can try to ignore it, but you cannot escape it. And then you have Leo, the full moon in Leo. Leo is the individual. Leo is your passions, how you feel. Leo is main character energy. So essentially, this full moon is highlighting the collective versus the individual, and how some people are like, is it even appropriate for me right now to be happy, to enjoy things, to have passion, to promote my business when the world is literally on fire? This is the essence of this full moon in Leo. And there's no hard and fast answer to that. There's not a you shouldn't, you're tone deaf, or bury your head in the sand and ignore everything. There's no right answer, even though it may seem like there is. But here's the one thing I'll say, and here's where astrology can offer a solution in a way. Full moons are when the sun and the moon are opposite each other. Think of it like a seesaw, right? And in order to, you have, when you're playing on a seesaw, one person goes up, the other person goes down, and vice versa. But full moons illuminate imbalance in order for you to establish balance. And so essentially what this full moon is saying is you can't ignore what's going on in the collective, but you also cannot ignore yourself. Let's be real. Everything that's going on is eliciting a very visceral response within us. So many of us are scared, are anxious, are angry. Again, you cannot escape it. However, if you pour your entire energy into the collective, you have nothing for yourself. And you matter. This is a time when it's not selfish to want to experience good things when so many bad things are happening in the world. It's not necessarily selfish to look for joy, to experience joy, to think about yourself. Now, burying your head in the sand, ignoring what's going on, that's not it either. We are individuals within a collective. And being empathetic, being sympathetic, lending a hand where you can is important right now. It's one of those situations where you can't put out a fire if your cup is empty, if there's no liquid in your cup. And joy helps to fill that cup, as weird or as counterintuitive as that may seem. So you've got all of these planets, Pluto, Mars, Sun, and Mercury, and it's like they're pointing a gun at Leo. And Leo's pointing a gun back at them. And what makes this a standoff is that everyone can get hurt. Everyone, if one person fires, especially if Leo fires first, that planetary pileup in Aquarius could literally decimate Leo in a rain of bullets, right? And this is metaphorically speaking. But here's the thing, that balance is what saves this. So it ends up not even really being a standoff. It ends up being an equilibrium. And that's important to remember because It's very easy for us to get polarized on either side of this debate, on either side of this energy right now. And that makes sense because the full moon is really illuminating that extreme. It's illuminating that dichotomy. It's illuminating me versus the collective. And yes, it's not going to be a clean cut either. This equilibrium is going to be messy because you are going to have people who think that it's tone deaf for you to want to be joyous right now or to find pleasure in life. But there are going to be people who are going to feel like I can't give all of my energy to the fire because then what if I get burned? What's left for me? And in a not to sound kumbaya or anything like that, but finding your individual pleasure and being able to spread that is kind of a way to put out the fire. More violence is not going to be the answer here. Let's be real. Now, that is easier said than done. And I'm not trying to be Pollyanna about this either. Like, oh, just spread love. And nah, girl, like there's a lot of shit going on right now. It's tense. But that Leo full moon is showing you the lighter side of life. So let it. Don't be tone deaf. Don't be insensitive. But finding pleasure in this emotionally volatile time, that's not such a bad thing either. Okay. Now, also, what adds more nuance to this is that Leo is warm. It's generous, it's pleasure, it's your inner child. Whereas Aquarius, it's cold, it's calculated, it's future oriented. This planetary pileup in Aquarius is structuring a new future, and that's hard work. And as much as there's emotional unrest, as much as there is a lot of turmoil, that structuring is necessary. And our own place in the collective can get lost in that structuring. Can get swept away in everything that's going on. And I feel like this full moon in Leo wants to remind you there is another side to this. You can find pleasure right now. You can experience the lighter side of life despite the fact that the world is seemingly on fire. And I hope that makes sense. I hope it doesn't go over your head. So going back to this whole Mexican standoff analogy, it's like three aspects of it, right? So number one, it's mutual destruction risk. So if either side moves impulsively, everyone can get hurt. So if you are rushing into the outrage, rushing into the collective side of things, or even if you are being completely hedonistic, completely selfish, and burying your head in the sand, there is destruction on either extreme. So that's why, although it's set up as a standoff, this is really about finding equilibrium. Number two, frozen tension. Frozen tension. Everyone is locked in place waiting for someone else to blink. Everyone is like, do I rush into everything that's going on with this collective or do I focus on myself? It's like you're frozen, right? And again, the solution to that is the equilibrium, finding a medium between these two. And this medium isn't going to be a happy medium. Like I said, this is a messy situation. I never want to gloss over things as though it's simple or it's easy. That's more love and light. That's sort of toxic positivity. Finding the equilibrium here right now, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be messy and likely may be met with backlash. May be met with your being tone deaf, or may be met with your catastrophizing everything. Both sides are valid. Finding the medium between the two is optimal, in my opinion. And then number three, resolution comes from a plot twist, not force. And this is emblematic of oftentimes what happens in an old Western, right? The two are at a standstill. guns drawn, ready to shoot each other. And then what happens? There's like a distraction over there. Somebody yells something, and then boom, it's like the guns go off either accidentally or someone realizes that it's an optimal time to shoot. This isn't about force. This isn't about bulldozing your way on either side of the equation or either side of the extreme. It's kind of like letting things fall into place. It's kind of like something externally happening that may get you to settle somewhere in the middle. And I don't know what that thing is going to be. Nobody does. The one thing about Aquarius is that it's co-ruled by Uranus. So anything goes, anything can happen. That's why it's this energy of, rather than me shooting at you first or you shooting at me first in the case of a standoff, there's a distraction. There's something that happens that perhaps allows us to settle in the middle, or at the very least, allows us to settle on either side of the extreme. But either way, both extremes valid. But the way to kind of get through this is with a medium, equilibrium. My personal opinion, whether you want it or not, finding your own personal joy in this time is really important. It's important for yourself as an individual. It's also important for the collective. And it brings up another point that I want to bring up. It's that this restructuring of the collective highlights the fact that everyone has a different job. It's not necessarily everyone who needs to be on the front line. It's not everyone who needs to be protesting. It's not everyone who needs to be actually doing something. Depending on how you're designed, you could just be holding the collective energy. You could be helping an individual as opposed to being out on the front lines. Everyone deals with this differently. And that's where the energy of Leo comes into this. Leo tells you don't forget the individual. Don't forget your unique place within the collective and act accordingly. That's also a great way to kind of find the middle ground here. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you're able to understand the energy of this full moon. And while it can be volatile, I'm not even going to lie to you, this is not a happy-go-lucky full moon. Leo does want you to find the lighter side of this. Leo kind of wants you to find the pleasure amidst the fire and the chaos, while understanding that there is a collective restructuring that's going on right now. And to be aware of that, to be cognizant of that, to be empathetic or sympathetic to that, to give it deference and not to just put your head in the sand and just be main character. Finding a happy medium is really the way to go with this full moon. All right, so hopefully this information found whoever it needed to find. If you find it helpful, insightful, share it, because people need to hear this, because there's a lot going on right now, a lot of noise. And astrology, in the way that it works, it kind of helps us make sense of what's going on and gives us a practical solution. All right, my love. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you like this content, if you resonate with me, this is exactly how I work with my clients. My signature service is the blueprint, which is the quintessential natal chart reading. It's a whole vibe. If you want to know more about that, the link to my scheduling page and my information page will be in the description box below. All right, my love, thanks so much. Happy full moon in Leo, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.